Welcome back. This morning, President Biden is looking at options for the U.S. to carry out a massive cyber attack against Russia. Ukraine's government and banking websites have already been the target of Russian cyber attacks this week. NBC News national security correspondent Ken Dilanian joins us now. Hey, Ken, good morning. So let's talk through what are the options on the table right now for President Biden? Is this something we're really considering?
Good morning, Savannah. Whether he's really considering it is the big question, but multiple U.S. officials and others briefed on the matter told Courtney, QB, and me that a menu of options from pretty mild to fairly severe to cyber attack Russia in retaliation for the invasion and as a way of slowing down Russia's ability to conduct this invasion have been presented to the president. And this would be the most significant use of American offensive cyber in history. The United States has been very judicious in how it has used its cyber weapons. Often they are used in a very targeted fashion, often for information ops. What we're talking about here are things like making trains go off the tracks so that they can't resupply Russian troops, potentially shutting down the internet, attacks on Russian critical infrastructure. Now, our sources told us that the U.S. would fully expect that the Russians would retaliate and conduct cyber attacks here, potentially things like what happened with Colonial Pipeline, where it made it difficult for Americans to get gas. And so some people in the Biden administration view this as unacceptably escalatory and risky. And again, it's, no final decision has been made. And the White House actually pushed back on our story, although they didn't say what exactly they thought was wrong with it. Multiple officials have assured us that these options are being considered. And again, it remains a question what President Biden will do in the end.
So I want to ask you, let's talk a little bit more about retaliation. One of the things that was just on that graphic our viewers might have noticed also was shutting off electric power, which reminds me of a report earlier this week from our colleague Tom Costello talking about, we could shut off the lights in St. Petersburg, but then they could just do the same here. I mean, what does this become if cyber warfare were to be used? You point out this would be the biggest in our history. I mean, what does that look like if there is this capability on the other side? What does retaliation mean? A back and forth?
Well, it could look very bad. And in fact, one of our sources said, whatever we can do to them, they can do to us. And that's essentially the problem here. And so the options, most of the options presented to the president are designed to disrupt but not destroy, to fall just short of an act of war. It's carefully calibrated here. And the Russians know that, too, that if they conduct a cyber attack in the United States that kills people, that's an act of war. That's really escalatory between two nuclear powers. So both sides are trying to calibrate, but you're absolutely right in pointing out that this could easily spiral out of control, and that may be an argument against doing it, Savannah.
And Ken, quickly, just put this in context for us. You mentioned it would be the first time in our history to do something of this scale. I mean, what does this really mean to use a cyber weapon potentially on that scale and kind of moving forward how we would be able to handle Russia?
Yeah, well, first of all, it really shows how this technology has evolved. And what some of the people who are involved in the planning told me is the interesting thing about cyber weapons is that you can really calibrate the impact. A 500-pound bomb does the same damage. You can select a target, but the bomb is going to do what the bomb is going to do. In cyber, you can do a lot of different things, and short of hurting people or destroying things, and that's a good option, but it's also very dangerous because sometimes the malware used in cyber attacks spirals out of control, goes places where the authors of it didn't want it to go. We've seen that with Russia and the NotPetya attack, which caused billions and billions of dollars in damage around the world. So this comes with promise and peril, this technology, Savannah.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.